So when you fast and pray, there are two words go hand in hand. You pursue God in your life and open yourself to experience a renewed dependence on God. So these are the two things need to go hand in hand. Scripture, and you pursue God in your life to open up yourself to experience a renewed dependence on God. Now, what we Christians must remember is that we must learn to depend on God more rather than depending on anyone else or depending on ourselves. Jeremiah said, "Cursed is a man who trusts in man or make his flesh as his strength. He will be like a shrub in the desert. He will not see when the good time comes." Then he says, "Blessed is a man who trusts in God, make his hope in God. He will be like a tree planted on the riverside. It's always green. It bears fruits in season and out of season." Now, this is one of the biggest challenge I have, and I'm sure many of you have, is turning our dependence from us to God. Some people, when you come across a need, your mind goes around, whom can I call to help? Some people, when there is a need comes or any problem, they say, "Don't worry, I know what to do." But very few people, when some situation comes, turn to God. Say, "God, what do you want me to do?" The way you respond to your challenges reveal where your dependency is. Those who depend on God, those who have that renewed dependence on God, whenever they have a challenge, they turn to God. "God, what's up? What's it all about?" Whether it's sickness or poverty or disease or financial crisis or failure or a loss, you'll turn to God and say, "God, what's up? What are you trying to tell me? What's the problem?" Remember, nothing comes to you without God's knowledge. No one you meet without God's plan. Every person who comes is part of God's plan for your life. Every situation that you face is a part of God's plan for your life. Those kind of situations unfold God's plan and purpose for your life. So, fasting and prayer is a time that we abandon our self-sufficiency and self-dependency and our dependency on others and turn to God and say, "God, I depend on you." Remember, anyone who helps you, there is always invisible strings attached. But when God gives you, He had no sorrow to it, no invisible strings. He gives you free. In fact, crises and challenges are the way God revealed to you that who you are and what are the areas that you need to change. So, fast and pray. There are two things goes hand in hand. It's a time to pursue God. It's a time to turn away from your dependency to God dependency. We are not independent. We are God dependent. Even Jesus, who was God himself when he came to in the flesh, he said, "I do nothing as my own. What I see in my Father, I do." As I mentioned earlier, Daniel wasn't the only one in the Bible who fasted. There were many people, practically every godly man fasted. And they all seen great heights. In fact, they were ordinary people who grew into greater heights by fasting and praying. Look at the life of Daniel. He came to the palace of Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon, as a young slave boy who is castrated. Basically, he came into the palace as nobody, and he ended up in the palace as everybody. There was no one king depended more than Daniel at the end. Now, how did he rose from that nothing to everything? He's a fasting and prayer. He made it clear that I will not defile myself. You guys can give me a different name. You can call me Belshazzar, the servant of Baal. But I am not. I am Daniel. I am the servant of God. You know, I've seen this number of times. People try to change your name. But stick to what name God gave. When I began the ministry, when God started really blessing me and I started growing up, you know, one day when I was praying, God told me, listen, Matthew, don't ever try to be a successful man or famous man or rich man or powerful man. Remain as a man of love. You know, right from the beginning of my ministry, I always prayed to God and said, God, I want to be a man of love. I want to be a person who loves people sincerely, love people and help people. But when you hit success, when you hit a lot of money coming on your way, a lot of recognition coming your way, a lot of opportunity come, and you do 10 things, all 10 become successful. If you're not careful, pride creeps in, self-dependency creeps in. And when you know a lot of famous people and powerful people, when you are in trouble, you tend to call them for a help. Now, they are the challenges we need to face. Daniel fasted and mourned. It's pretty humiliating, It's the thing about, you're a big guy in the Babylonian palace. King highly depend on you. Because of you, all the prophets and all the soothsayers saved their life. The king was going to kill them all in the beginning of the book. But Daniel saved them and he became the number 2 in the palace. There's nobody bigger than Daniel. And even in the middle of that, he humbled himself, he mourned and he wept. All godly people are emotional people. He mourned and he wept and he sought the Lord. In some fasting, if you see Daniel, Bible says, he had no strength to stand. He becomes so weak. That took away his power. Today we look at Daniel as a spiritual giant. He became a spiritual giant by learning to mourn and humble himself before God. So I want to challenge you today. Learn to become God-dependent, not self-dependent. Learn to become God-dependent, not other people dependent. Don't allow other people's opinions to alter your choices. Don't depend on other people to govern your decisions. Don't allow critics or negative talkers or any kind of people to alter your choices. Let your choices come as a result of your time you're spending alone with God. Have a quality time with God every day. Fast and pray regularly. You have an amazing future waiting for you. God bless you.